While perhaps not being the most useful for day-to-day life, the Moonphase for me is one of the most refined and romantic complications in the watch world. With this, I wanted to compare and contrast three fantastic luxury Moonphase watches: the Zenith Elite Moonphase, Glashütte Originals Panamatic Lunar, and the Jaeger-LeCoultre Master Ultra Thin Moon. So let's see how these ones stack up and give you a better understanding of these three amazing pieces. Let's jump into it. Now, before we jump into this video, if you want more than just this luxury segment of Moonphase watches, we have a complete write-up and blog looking at a couple dozen of some of the best Moonphase options on the market, looking at a variety of different price ranges. So check it out in the link down below. We'll have a complete written guide on that down there. Now, in order to have a better understanding of the watches we're going to look at here, let's take a look at just a brief history of the Moonphase as a watch complication. As one of the oldest complications in the world of mechanical timekeeping, the first attempts at measuring the lunar cycle date back to ancient Greece. However, more refined lunar complications eventually took shape in the 14th century, first in the form of large clocks based in clock towers, before eventually being downsized into standalone clocks somewhere around the 16th century. As the time of day transitioned into pocket watches in the 18th and 19th centuries, before making the jump into wristwatches around 100 years ago, the Moonphase was continually adapted to suit the style and technology of the day, with the Moonphase now being one of the more common and popular complications, especially in dressier watches. At its core, the Moonphase consists of a disc mounted beneath the dial and decorated with a moon over a starry background, viewed through an aperture in the dial mechanically timed to complete one revolution in approximately 29.5 days, visually demonstrating the complete lunar cycle. And while the Moonphase is mechanically simpler than many other complications, the moon and stars visual just offers a charming celestial starting point for luxury brands from a design point of view, ultimately leading to these three beautiful examples we're going to be looking at here today. Moving in ascending price order, we'll begin the overview portion of this video with the Zenith Elite Moonphase. Priced at $7,000, undercutting the next most expensive watch, the Geo Panamatic Lunar, by about $3,000. And while Zenith is a brand probably best known for its El Primero automatic chronographs, the Elite collection distinguishes itself as the brand's more refined and traditional entry-level collection, with an emphasis on slim builds complete with more traditional in-house watchmaking compared to some of Zenith's more eccentric modern options. Moving into the wearing experience of the Zenith Elite, the case offers a 40.5mm wide by 45.3mm long set of dimensions, coupled with the impressively svelte 9.2mm height. On the wrist, the Elite offers pleasing wearing experience on a slightly larger end for a traditional dress watch, wearing close to the 40.5mm measurement in actuality. In terms of finishing and architecture, the Elite offers a straightforward design with brushed lug tops that meet with an otherwise completely polished execution, from the sloping bezel to the vertical case sides, and on the surprisingly small push-pull star sign crown. Set between 22mm lugs that curve toward the wrist, the Elite leans into an alligator strap back with calfskin and executed in a shade of gray with some olive undertones that works well with the rest of the watch, while tapering to a simple 18mm sign pin buckle. Again, taking up view of the watch's anterior surface, we have a striking dial design offering a number of elements and textures working harmoniously together. At the dial's periphery, a halfway railway minute track is printed white over gray with faceted applied trapezoidal indices interrupting the 5-minute positions. The central dial surface in gray exhibits a slate gray sunray pattern paired with a prominent navy blue Moonphase aperture at 6. The cutaway for the Moonphase disc is small, allowing just a glimpse of a simply adorned matte moon and a star motif just behind. Managing time-telling duties are a set of polished faceted Dauphine-style hands, along with a smaller sweep second hand executed over the subtly printed sub-register. This being a true dress watch, there is no loom to speak of here. This dial design is certainly beautiful, a little more tame in its approach and also unconventional with that Moonphase and just how it has that matte appearance compared to the other offerings here, but still very well done. Gazing through the exhibition caseback, the Elite caliber 692 comes into view, most prominently in the form of the rose gold skeletonized rotor, with micro perlage at its periphery and circular waves across the central bridges. The in-house 692 offers intriguing architecture to go along with the elevated finishing. Screw heads are also mirror polished, and while the majority of the display is machine finished, it is well done for a watch in this price range and does incorporate many of the expected treatments one would associate with Zenith movements. Another point of note here is that the Moonphase setting is handled with the crown and without any additional need of case pushers, as is the case with the other two watches on test here today. In terms of its general specifications, the caliber 692 is composed of 195 individual components while oscillating at 28,800 vibrations per hour, 4 Hertz. It does feature hacking and hand winding, hacking stop in the second hand when you pull the crown to the farthest position, and has a power reserve of 50 hours. When it comes to accuracy, we tested all of these watches at 5 different positions. This was the one that was lagging behind the most. Range of deviation here was -9 to -4 seconds a day on average when testing across those 5 positions. Moving up to our next price tier with the Geo Panamatic Lunar at $9,900, we have a luxury dress watch often compared to the Longa 1 Moonphase. However, Geo as a brand dates back to 1845 at the beginning of Glashütte, Germany's now legendary watchmaking status, eventually becoming the private company we know of today, Glashütte Original. Since then, the brand has grown into a true luxury watchmaker with its own collection of beautiful manufactured movements and an emphasis on artisanal watchmaking, which arguably is class leading for under $10,000 for a major group brand. Moving into a conversation on the case and wearing experience, the Panamatic Lunar comes in at 40 millimeters in diameter, 47 millimeters lug to lug, and 12.7 millimeters in the thickness department. In contrast to many dress watches, the Panamatic Lunar blends brushing and polishing for a refined case presentation. A signed push-pull crown rests at the 3 o'clock position, with a stylish pusher just above utilized for setting the Moonphase. Keeping the Geo on the wrist is a alligator leather strap, 20 millimeters with a matte finish in a dyed deep navy blue, and complete with a signed double deployment buckle to assist in not adding excessive wear to the strap over time. Viewed through the dome sapphire crystal, we can take up a view of a primary dial surface executed in silver with a matte opaline effect and an array of complications that is most differing in approach of the 3 here. On the left, time-telling duties are handled with a set of 2 overlapping dials, with the larger display tracking the hour and minutes, with heat-blued and surprisingly lume alpha hands set over finely engraved concentric circles, as well as hand-applied indices. Just below, a complementary sub-seconds with its own heat-blued hand tracks the seconds. At 2 o'clock, the Moonphase is executed again in blue with polished moon and stars. And finally, we have one of the more German complications on the market with a big date resting beneath its own neatly faceted window. Despite the amount of information offered by this dial, the design is actually surprisingly legible once you become accustomed to the layout and its use of negative space. Turning the watch over, we take up view of the automatic in-house caliber, the 9019, a caliber that for the price segment is exceptional in its finish. And in fact, I am hard-pressed to think of a better finished movement under $10,000 from a major group brand. It starts with Glashütte ribbing across the 3/4 plate with polished edges and a skeletonized micro rotor with a 21 karat gold oscillating weight. Instead of recessing the entire plate, there's a machine channel for the rotor to freely spin with a fine-grained finish within. It showcases an array of blued screws and several of the watch's 47 jewels in a tasteful orientation. The balance bridge is also exceptional as it features hand engraving topped with Geo's signature duplex swan neck regulating organ. And while not perhaps on the same level of Longa, we are talking about a watch that retails under $10,000. So looking at this movement, we're looking at 28,800 vibrations per hour, 4 Hertz for the beat rate. Hacking and hand winding are features here, and a power reserve of 42 hours. And when testing across 5 different positions, we are looking at plus or minus 2 seconds per day in that range of deviation when testing at those different positions. But transitioning to our final and also most expensive watch by just a small margin, we have the JLC Master Ultra Thin Moon positioned at $10,300. JLC was founded in 1833 in a small Swiss village in the Valley de Joux, developing a powerful reputation over the centuries for innovation in watchmaking that has led to their movements being housed within many of the leading brands in high horology. While the Reverso is likely the brand's most storied icon, The Master Collection is JLC's home for equally refined designs with a rounded case format. Moving into the case and wearing experience here, the Master Ultra Thin Moon is also available at 36mm in diameter, but here we have the more mass appealing 39mm variant, which is paired with a compact lug-to-lug of 45.8mm. True to its name, the Ultra Thin Moon comes in at around 9mm in thickness, and given the dimensions, this watch should wear well on all but the smallest or largest of wrists. Keeping the traditional dress watch feel, the Master Ultra Thin Moon is polished virtually all over, from the step bezel to the sign push-pull crown, across the faceted lugs, and along the curved caseback. At 4 and 8, there are small stylus pushers used for setting the Moonphase and its encircling pointer date function. Set between the odd number 21mm lugs, a quick release genuine alligator strap tapers from the lugs to 18mm at the butterfly style sign to point clasp. While understatement is one of JLC's core concepts driving the Master Collection, the primary dial surface utilized here defies that term with a striking metallic petroleum blue canvas, with simple printed white minute markings, faceted dart indices matching the Dauphine style handset at the center. Of course, the star here, we're going to have to look at that Moonphase window at the 6, and JLC does not disappoint, with a partial aperture revealing a starry array in midnight blue with a polished moon, and stars that seamlessly transition from the blue backdrop of the dial that helps exude these feelings of mystery. Turning the Ultra Thin Moon over, we have a movement that offers a healthy 70-hour power reserve, a nice upgrade for both JLC and from the other brands featured. JLC also leans into some high-level finishes on the top of the performance, including perlage on the base plate, Geneva waves executed across the bridge and rotor, and screw heads that are either polished or blued, with the centermost bridge sporting a gold-filled engraving advertising notable identifiers, as well as the 30 jewels being used. Composed of 245 components and only 4.9mm thick, the 925's most notable upgrades are the redesigned barrel, no doubt important for the extended power reserve, as well as the new escapement with a silicone anchor with a free-sprung balance assembly. In terms of general operation, we're looking at 28,800 vibrations per hour, 4 Hz, does feature hacking and hand winding, and a power reserve of 70 hours. And in terms of testing across all of those different positions, 5 different positions here with +1 to -2 seconds a day when testing. But now with that overview portion out of the way, let's just speak to the realities of these watches. Now, I chose these 3 as kind of some standouts. Under $10,000, we're looking at major group brands. What are some of the best Moonphase offerings? And I thought these were all really solid. When you're looking at that $5,000 to $6,000 price range, you're starting to get into, say, in-house Moonphase watches. I think Zenith is right there, although maybe not as elegant as the other 2. It's well finished, there's no case pushers, so it's easy to set. Nice looking on both the front and the back, although a little bit more utilitarian, just knowing how Zenith is producing sportier watches in many chronograph movements. I think it's really well represented in that price range. But then you have the Geo Panamatic Lunar, which is a completely different animal in regards to its finishing. I think, again, just one of the best in class. It is going to be thicker, but offers one of the most impressive movements that you're going to find, has this non-standard dial layout that certainly is going to evoke a lot of just that Longo 1 connection. But when you're talking about value proposition, you're looking for a German execution for a well-done luxury Moonphase, I think this has to be the one. And then you have JLC with the Master Ultra Thin Moon. Now, this has been a long-standing model that I have just loved. And with the extended power reserve of 70 hours and this midnight blue that is being executed on this variation, I think this is the best one to date. And it's absolutely just elegance personified, and does make it a bit difficult when kind of dealing with the reverso conversation versus something like this. This is a standout that I don't think people can sleep on if you're looking for that dress watch from a luxury perspective, even from JLC. I think maybe before pulling the trigger on a reverso, try one of these on, because I think these are absolutely spectacular. But again, these are 3 of some of my favorites under $10,000. Certainly, I would say that there are other ones that you can consider out there on the market, but the Moonphase, to me, although the dress watch is kind of falling out of favor at the moment in 2022, I still think that this is just timeless elegance in what all of these watches are providing. Maybe Zenith is a bit more contemporary in its approach, but they're all so well done. And I think if you are looking for something that maybe you have to wear to a job or an occupation where you're gonna have to dress up a little bit more, you're looking for that one luxury watch to kind of round out your collection, I think these are just great watches to aspire to own. And when you're looking at the Moonphase complication, despite maybe not being the most useful, these are some that I would certainly recommend. But guys, what's your take on these 3 watches? Which one would you choose? What do you think is probably the standout of these 3? Love to see comments down below. If you found this video helpful and you like these comparison style videos, please give it a thumbs up. Also be sure to subscribe as well, because that does help out the channel. Also be sure to check out that Moonphase blog if you want even more just idea of what the market looks like when it comes to Moonphase watches. We'll have a link to that down below. Also TeddyBaldassarre.com, full authorized dealer of over 30 brands, quick and fast fulfillment, dedicated customer support, and a full factory warranty for all of the new products that we offer. In addition, a new and growing pre-owned section. We have some great models coming in every single week. Definitely check it out. And if you're looking to move on from one of your watches, fill out the form on the sell page. And if it's a good fit for our program, one of my colleagues will be in touch. But guys, thank you again so much for watching. Be well, and I will see you all very soon.